This is Richard Hayzler, proud principal of Pequannock Valley Middle School, a grade 6 through 8 school in Pompton Plains, New Jersey as part of the Pequannock Township School District. And welcome to this week's episode of Learning Sparks, where we learn and grow together talking about instructional strategies that enhance student learning in your classroom. Today I would like to talk to you about feedback, because feedback is a critical component to student learning. When you're talking about feedback, you're talking about the feedback from the teacher to the student and from students to students, because both ways can really drive learning within a classroom. But today we're going to take a look at why feedback is important and what we can do as teachers to make sure that we use it powerfully in our instruction so that it enhances and sparks learning in our classrooms. The first thing about feedback is that you want to make sure that it's improving the learning outcomes and increasing the learning. And so we do that in the classroom through various ways, through formative and summative assessment. Here's an example here. The simple formative assessment in a health classroom. Here the teacher has some smiley faces up on the board. As a student leaves the classroom, they say, "Hey, I really understood everything in the lesson today," so they hit the green smiley face. "I have some questions, there are some things that I'm unsure of," I'm going to hit the yellow one. And then, "I really had a hard time with this lesson, I didn't quite understand it," boom, and I hit the red face. Now as a teacher, as I analyze the students that walk out the door, I can now see these students in the hallway, or I can see them the next day, and we can talk about the lesson, and the teacher's gaining feedback. Now as a student, how do we want the feedback to look for them when we're giving feedback as a teacher? And so when you look at feedback, you want to try and be as specific as possible. Instead of saying, "Well done, great job, way to go" at the top of a paper, I think it's really important that we demonstrate to the students why they did a great job and be specific as to why what they wrote was good, or why the word problem had the proper steps, what they applied from what they had learned in the classroom. Or if there's something they need to work on, what is it that they need to work on in order to meet the learning goals of the classroom. The second thing about feedback that's important is that you want feedback to be timely. No longer can we wait 2 to 3 weeks for students to get papers back. Students are living in an age where everything happens very rapidly. And so when we give feedback, we want to make sure that it's timely. And that can be difficult. As a teacher, there are many things happening throughout the school day. There are things happening at home in our personal lives that we need to take care of. But at the end of the day, it's very important that we give things back to students in a timely manner. Same thing as administrators for teachers. If I'm observing a teacher, I want to make sure that I get the observation back quickly. Because if you wait 2 to 3 weeks to give students feedback back on an essay, most often students aren't going to remember everything that they wrote. So you want to make sure that you're giving feedback back in a timely manner. The third part about feedback that's important is you want to make sure that the feedback you're giving advances towards the learning goal. It should be specific, but the student should be it should be clear to the student how this is going to help them be better, whether they did great on something or whether they need to improve. The fourth thing about feedback that we want to make sure happens is that we involve the students in the process. Let the feedback become part of their learning. When we give a test back, give it back and let them make corrections. Or have them submit a rough draft. Give them feedback and say, "Okay, you can make this better for the final copy." Or do a lab report. Give them feedback and give them a chance to revise what they're writing. Because today we want it to be about student growth, and we want them to develop a mindset of that they can achieve. Very often students will get a test back or a paper back and they see a grade at the top and they just stick it in their notebook and they never look at it. Make feedback a part of the learning process in the classroom. You can turn it into an entire lesson where students are looking at the feedback together that they've been given. Maybe even try not putting a grade on the paper, giving them feedback first, letting them use that feedback, and then resubmitting the work to you. It can be a very powerful tool to improve student learning in your classroom. The last piece about feedback is you want to be consistent. Make sure that you're giving feedback on just about everything. It doesn't have to be crazy amounts of feedback, but you want to make sure that everything you do with the students has a purpose. So you want to make sure that you're consistent. Because we expect our students to be consistent with their work, we want to model that. And so be consistent with feedback, because it can be a very powerful tool to spark student learning in your classrooms. Our teachers are looking and analyzing their feedback every day. whether it's in professional learning communities, during their planning time, with me as an administrator, because we see the value in giving students good feedback and using it as a learning tool in the classroom. So I look forward to continue learning and growing with you on these Learning Sparks episodes. Please follow me at Rich Hayzler on Twitter so that we can connect and grow our professional learning networks. And I look forward to seeing you on future episodes of Learning Sparks. As always, do what's best for kids. Have a great day, everybody.